All right. Good morning, everybody. I think I see now the sound is up. I was looking at it and see the level moving. So, hello, happy Sunday, happy holidays. It is so very good to be here with you on the final Sunday service for 2024 as we gather together to celebrate the magnificence and significance of the presence and power of God operating in, through, and as us. So, we will begin as we always do with prayer, and I'm going to share a reading today from 365 Days of Richer Living. And so you can close your eyes as you listen to this, or you can of course, close your eyes once we move into prayer. The affirmation: demonstrations follow my word. There is nothing to obstruct the spiritual word that I speak. All the power of God is for me, and all the power of God is working through me. As I make these statements of truth, the truth happens in my world. I speak the truth, and the truth sets me free. This word is not dependent upon my will, for it is the action of God taking place through me. I now declare my own spiritual perfection as a child of omnipotence. I speak the truth, and the truth happens to me. Health appears in my body, for I know God is the health of my mind. Strength flows through me, and vitality is instantly available. I am free in body to do all those things which need to be done. I am health. I accept demonstration as normal. God has offered itself to me, and I let God's mind do what it desires. The infinite love, this infinite love loves me. The infinite appreciates me. The infinite wants me to be at peace. This I now accept as my demonstration. My destiny has been given into my hands by the Spirit, and I select my world as carefully as I would select a gift. I choose what I want and declare it. I let the law of mind bring forth my decisions. Unlimited, saved by my own wrong beliefs, I stand in a process divine, which works for me as I direct it. Demonstrations follow demonstrations hourly. Good appears on every hand. Love offers itself to me, and God gives me what I want. And so from this place of awareness, we move into the words of prayer, and I invite you to get still, be still, stop whatever you're doing, and close your eyes. And in this moment, we take an intentional breath in and an intentional breath out, allowing ourselves to relax and sink deeper in mind. We breathe in and we breathe out, placing ourselves in a posture of receptivity. We breathe in and we breathe out. There is only one mind, only one power, only one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all. There is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. That life is my life now. That life is your life now. That life is all life now. That life is the thing that is back of, behind, underneath all things, above and below, at our left, at our right, on and within us. It is the animating force of life. Behind the great beauty of the cosmos is this one life. Behind the great beauty of a blade of grass is this one life. Behind the great majesty of the animal kingdom is this one life. It is God, and it is here now. For what I know to be true is that God neither comes nor goes. God is always present, present, present. God is always now, now, now. God is always here, here, here. That is good news. Wherever we are in our thinking, wherever we are in our emotions, wherever we may be bodily present, God is right there. For God is here, here, here. God is now, now, now. And as I recognize that all of God is here now, I recognize then that anything and everything that we could ever want, need, or desire, or expect God to be, it is present. Love is present now. Peace is present now. Health is present now. Wealth is present now. Abundance is present now. Happiness and success, joy and grace, and so many things, solutions, answers are present now. For all of God is here, 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 and now, now, now. And as I stand in the recognition that God is, and God is right here, right now, I know that you are. And I know that you are right here, right now. For my beloved, beautiful soul, if you did not know it, you know it today, that you are one with God and one of God. You are God's good idea. God thought about you. thought about you long enough for you to come into being. You are a good idea. You are one with God and one of God. We live, move, and have our being in God, and God lives, moves, and has its expression in, through, and as us. So understanding that we are infinite, beautiful, particularized, undivided expressions of the all in all, I now speak this word in faith. As we gather together today for the weekend service, I know that this service is good. I know that this service is blessed and a blessing. I know that this service is prosperous and prospering. I know that as we have chosen to be here and right now, that something will be done, something will be said that will expand us, that will enliven us, that will enlighten us. We are so grateful and thankful to be here in a place, in a space that stands as a lighthouse on planet Earth, that reminds us that we're worthy, that reminds us that we live in great possibility, that reminds us that what our eyes see is not the whole picture, that reminds us that the power of our minds has the ability to shift and change our very lives. I am so grateful and thankful to remember and know that we are loved, we are loved, we are loved, we are loved. As surely as we are here, we are loved. We were born worthy, we leave worthy. We were born loved, we leave loved. And so it is out of this awareness that we gather. It is out of this awareness that we celebrate. It is out of this awareness that we continue to live out these teachings and live out this truth. For this truth, I am so very grateful, and I lift up and release this prayer now back into the law, which is always in operation, responding, becoming. And so it is with joy and thanksgiving that we lift up our voices and we say, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Yes, and so it is. Well, hello again. Happy Sunday. Happy holidays, beautiful people. It is so wonderful to be here with you. I'm Pastor Greg.
I'm Pastor Yolanda.
And of course, we are the pastors of Celebration Spiritual Center, and we're happy to be here on this Sunday. Now, if you are a first-time guest, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. However you got here, whether it was the algorithm or if someone invited you, we're happy that you chose to be here with us on this Sunday, and we're confident that something will be done, something will be said that will support you in thriving, that will support you in living an empowered life, that will support you in being more of who you truly are, revealing the divine that is within you, revealing the worthy, holy being that you are. Now, what you see on your screen is how you access your digital connection card. Just text welcome to that phone number, 347-472-1078. Just the word welcome, no additional messages or emojis are needed. When you text that number, you'll receive an automated reply with a link. Click that link, and that'll take you to the digital connection card. All you have to do is fill out your information. We just need your name and your email address, and you're all set. You'll even receive a text afterwards that says you're all set. If for some reason you're having trouble texting that number or accessing that link, if you look here on YouTube and on Facebook, if you look at the description here of this post, you'll see the links are actually there. And so you can go directly to the link, enter your information, and you'll be on our mailing list. You'll receive all the information that we send out throughout the week to stay abreast of what's going on at CSC. And you'll see some of those things will be reflected in our news and updates. But most importantly, we're happy that you're here. And as we love to say at CSC, the first time you come, you're a guest. And when you come back, you're family. So before we get into our news and updates, we have a special holiday message from Senator Chuck Schumer, who, of course, is one of the senators of New York. He is also the ranking member of the Senate nationally. And so the things that he does affects us all around the country. But he sent us a holiday message, and we want to share that holiday message with you. And then we'll move into our news and updates.
Hi, everyone, and a Merry, Merry Christmas to you and your family. It's Senator Chuck Schumer, and I want to thank your amazing pastor for inviting me to bring Christmas greetings to all of you. As you know, your pastor's a blessing to your church, to our community, our state, our nation. May God give your pastor strength to continue ministering. Now, my brothers and sisters, the Christmas season's finally upon us. It's a time for us to come together after a long year with hearts full of gratitude for the many blessings God has bestowed upon us. Personally, I'm grateful to all of you. I'm grateful for the trust you have placed in me to represent the New York in the Senate. And above all, I'm grateful for the opportunity to spend every single day fighting for you, our community, our state, our nation. I know many of you are concerned about the direction of America right now, after an especially bitter election season. My father had many setbacks. He had a tough life. And though he passed away 2 years ago, he's still sitting next to me teaching me lessons. And one thing my late father always taught me is when you have a setback, and he had a bunch, and you find yourselves down, you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move forward. So in the months and year ahead, I'll continue to fight hard for the things we all believe in. I'll continue to fight back to prevent bad things from happening to you and your families, and I'll continue to keep you informed of everything that's happening in Washington. But the Christmas season is about being thankful for the good things that have happened, and I'm so proud of the progress we have made to improve the lives of New Yorkers. We took big steps to lower the cost of prescription drugs and lower the cost of insulin to just $35 a month for people on Medicare, so no one goes broke trying to manage their diabetes. And because we finally allowed Medicare to negotiate lower prices for prescription drugs, prices of the 10 most widely used drugs starting January 1st are going to go way down. We delivered nearly $150 billion in student debt relief to over 30 million borrowers desperately in need, many of them young people, first-time college goers, many people of color. For people on Medicaid and CHIP, we passed a bill guaranteeing 1 year of postpartum health coverage for new moms and babies. It's truly a blot on America that Black women have a far higher rate of maternal mortality than white women. Our bill is helping end that grave and severe injustice. And we made our courts stronger by confirming a record number of well-qualified, good judges, including a record number of women judges and a record number of Black judges like the great Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. These are just a few of our accomplishments, and we certainly still have a lot of work more to do in the year ahead. And you know me, I am not one to rest on my laurels. And we also still face many challenges as a country. Sometimes I know it might feel like a brighter day won't come. But the nativity story teaches us that if you're willing to trust in God, have faith, and hold on to hope with patience and persistence, then a brighter day will come. We can find the grace of God even in the darkest places if we're only willing to open up our hearts. Like the three Magi following the Star of Bethlehem, let us all keep the faith. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. May God bless all of you and your families. God bless your pastor, God bless your church, and God bless the United States of America.
We are grateful to Senator Chuck Schumer for that message and for reminding us of the things that are taking place. We know when we think about how we operate with our teachings, right? What you focus on expands, power flows where attention goes. And so when we place our attentions on the good things, the positive, the necessary, the beneficial, the constructive things that have happened, that gives us the energy necessary and the support to then move forward as we think about the new year and all of the things that we want to hold our elected leaders accountable to bring forth and remind them of the promises that they've made. But we're grateful for the holiday message, and we're grateful for the time that he took to do that. So from this place of awareness, we're going to move forward with our news and updates, and then we can get into the meditation, the Healing Sunday prayer, the music, and the message. It is Healing Sunday. Healing Sunday happens every fourth Sunday. And so this is a wonderful opportunity, if you are in need of healing, to tap into that vibration via prayer. If you know someone that's in need of healing prayer, send them a message, text them, send them the link, and have them come to the stream so that they can jump into the river of healing. And also, you may be someone that is supporting and someone who is moving through a healing journey. And so this is a wonderful prayer for you as well. We look forward to sharing. I'm going to share a wonderful message related to healing that comes from a member of our community, and then we will move forward with the words of prayer. As a reminder, we will not have service next Sunday on December 29th. So today is the last Sunday service for the year. We trust that you will enjoy the holiday break and do whatever feels good to you. Make it restful, keep it relaxing, and stay safe in all ways. And then we will gather together again on December 31st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our New Year's Eve service. We're excited about that. We always plan something wonderful in terms of releasing and then calling in what it is that you want to call in for the new year. What we will also be doing, as we do each year, following the service, we will have a New Year's Eve toast and prosperity sharing. What we've been asking everyone over the past few weeks is to write down, think about, reflect on all of the wonderful things that you've experienced, the prosperity that you've experienced in your life this year. That doesn't have to be profound, but it does have to be specific. We have received emails with prosperity reports and praise reports. There's wonderful things happening. Of course, PY and I individually and collectively, we have wonderful things that we could share in the ways in which prosperity continues to show up in our lives. And so please prepare to be there live so that you can share your prosperity. But if for some reason you can't be there, send us an email so that and we're happy to share that with everyone. There's so many wonderful things happening in the community, and we want to make sure that you hear about it because it does deepen and expand your own faith and expectancy when you see that it's working, because we're no different than you, and you're no different than anyone else. And so it's wonderful when you get to hear that. That's going to happen via Zoom. You have to be on our mailing list to get the link and password. If you have a prayer request, you can send that prayer request to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. We are always holding everyone in our hearts and minds, knowing the very best for you and with you. But we recognize that you may have a specific prayer request, or you may want a prayer request on behalf of someone else. We will know the truth with you. Just send an email, again, to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. We have something very unique this year. The next 2 Wednesdays are holidays. And so due to the holidays, instead of having the normal prayer call that we have on Wednesdays, a recorded prayer will be sent out to our mailing list on Christmas Day and on New Year's Day. And then we will resume our live prayer call on Monday, January 6th, which begins our month of prayer. As we have been doing for many, many years now, we start the month by sowing seeds in consciousness, speaking and knowing the very best. And so that's what we'll be doing Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be together. We'll share a reading, we'll pray, and move on with our day. If for some reason you cannot make the call, every prayer will be recorded, and so you can use the playback number to access that prayer. Also want to share that we're using a specific books for the month of January, 60 Meditations for a Mindful Life by Ernest Holmes. And so that will be the reading that we'll share, and we'll move on with the day. So if you also want to have that book, this is actually a great text that you can use for your daily spiritual practice in the morning. So we invite you to grab the book. It's not necessary because, again, I'll be sharing the reading each day, but we're only going to do that for 30 days. Right, so there's the opportunity for you to continue and use this text for your own spiritual enrichment. The Best Year Ever course is still available, right? We are nearing the very, very end of the year, and I know it's kind of, for a lot of people, this is when you start to think about the new year. This is when you start to plan out the new year. And so what the Best Year Ever course gives you is a clear roadmap. Using the steps vision, dream, nourish, and grow to, one, using visioning, tap into the vision of what God wants to be, do, and have, and express in, through, and as you. And then I give you very specific tips to start to map that out and to support you in really being diligent as you move into the new year to actually accomplish many of those things that you've visioned or you dream. What's wonderful, hundreds of people have gone through this process, and anything you could think of has been demonstrated and manifested through this process, from the release of weight to new jobs to more money to huge projects, huge ideas that seem bigger. How in the world could I accomplish this? But it was accomplished easily and effortlessly. And so I know it works. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/register. The cost is $97. It also includes 3 bonus Zoom sessions that were held in October, November, and December a few weeks ago, answering questions and adding more insight. I encourage you to definitely watch those because it's powerful. You only have really about a week to access this information. It will not be available after December 31st. We're highlighting this sermon series from 2021 as our series of the month, Prepare, because it's setting you up and supporting you in preparing for the new year. This is the sermon series, for those of you that remember, where I shared the ideal scene practice, where you're again starting to plan and prepare for the new year. So if $97 course is not something that's a part of your budget or your plan right now, all good, because here at CSC, we meet you where you are, no matter what that may look like. And so it simply takes your time and your willingness to dedicate the time to use the simple processes that I share in this sermon, Prepare. It will set you up to have an amazing 2025 if you work it. Finally, we want to remind you that your giving matters. And so we encourage you, as we do each year at this time, to make a year-end gift to CSC to continue to support the mission vision of CSC. It absolutely does make a difference. What I am so clear about, and I think in many ways have become clearer about this year with all that is happening on the planet and all that is happening in this world, that CSC matters. And in order for CSC to continue, we have CSC has expenses. CSC, in order to do the things that we do, in order to provide the things that CSC provides, there is a cost involved. And so your giving absolutely matters. It impacts lives all around this country and all around the planet. Your giving helps to bring this message and spread this message in new and more powerful ways. And so those that are able, if it's within your financial plan, we encourage you to make a year-end gift to CSC. And of course, all donations that are made within this calendar year are tax deductible to the extent allowed by law. And that concludes our news and updates for today, which means we now get the awesome opportunity to tap into the vibration of meditation as we are led in the meditation experience with Pastor Yolanda.
Yes, yes, it is time for the meditation experience, the opportunity to go within, to be in the receptive posture. I love how PG said that earlier in the reading. Be in that receptive, open position. Many times we think that there's so much for us to do to receive. And what we're saying and what we're practicing in meditation is simply opening ourselves up to receive. I love this month's affirmative thought. It comes from A Course in Miracles, lesson 105. God's gifts of peace and joy are mine. They are gifts, not to be worked for, not to be earned, but because you arrived worthy, you arrived open and available to receive these gifts. But what happens in our lives is we lose that receptive posture. We become guarded, we become afraid. We start to question whether we can have what we want. And this is a beautiful opportunity to get in the receptive mode, to open ourselves, and to know that God's gift of peace and joy are yours. A closed hand receives nothing. A closed heart receives nothing. A closed mind receives nothing. So let's open our hands, our hearts, and our minds to receive God's gifts. The Course also says, be determined not to refute or dismiss or not accept God's gift. Be determined to be in the receptive posture, to be open and available to insight, answers, and God's gift of peace and joy. So let's prepare. Find yourself in a comfortable posture. Allow your feet to be on the floor, seated upright in a chair on your sofa. And as we relax the feet onto the floor and we feel that initial contact with the earth beneath us, let us drop that anchor deeper into the earth through our feet and plant our palms on the tops of the thighs. And briefly look around the room. Just notice where you are. Notice that you're not in the past wondering, why didn't I get those gifts before? Or worried that you won't receive in the future. You're open and available, and you are saying yes to God. I want the gift of joy and peace. because I know I'm entitled to it. And from this place of openness and presence, let us allow our eyelids to close. And making contact with the tops of our thighs, we feel that warmth, we feel that energy, we feel that connection, and they are all representative of the divine connection. So from this place of receptivity, let's just notice the breath, shall we? And whether the breath appears to be deep or appears to be shallow, it matters not. What matters is that the breath is flowing. What matters is that our body is automatically designed to be in the receptive mode. For as we exhale and inhale, we perpetuate that cycle of giving and receiving of breath. We honor the ability to receive God's gift of joy and peace, and we allow it to move through our bodies, nice and easy. And let's agree together from this receptive posture to welcome these gifts without fear, doubt, or worry. For as they flow on the breath, we get used to how good it feels to have God's joy and peace. And together we're going to move through a cycle of breath where we inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then sink deeper and deeper. Remember, our feet are anchored, and that energy is sinking deeper and deeper as we rest in the silence. Let's prepare and let's begin. Inhaling for 4 now. Hold for 4. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, relax the body, and sigh it out. And then settle in, sinking deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Again, inhaling into the low belly, dropping the breath nice and deep. Hold for 4. And releasing, getting more receptive. Let that breath go. Sigh it out. And relax for 4. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage. Now we expand the sides of the body, making room for breath, being determined to receive. Hold it there. And when you're ready, sigh it out, let it go. And become receptive for 4. You're more open now than before, more relaxed than before. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, we've expanded the sides. Now expand the front and the back of the body, sending that breath back to the shoulders. Hold it there. And without collapsing the body, just release the breath. Sigh it out. And welcome the peace and the joy, for they belong to you. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, now allowing the breath to rise, connecting low to mid to high breath, a full breath. Hold it there. Releasing the sound. And welcoming the peace. Again, another round. Breathing deeply in through the low belly all the way up. Noticing that the opening you created is ready to be filled. Hold it there. And sigh it out. And sinking deeper, relaxing more and more. Beautiful, everyone. Now let's take a little more time. Give ourselves more opportunity to receive. And slow the breath down. Inhaling through the nose for a count of 6. Holding for 6. And exhaling as we close the lips through the nostrils for 6. And then signaling every cell it can relax and receive for 6. Together, inhale. Hold. And with the lips closed, exhale through the nostrils nice and slow, noticing that warmed breath as it exits the body. No rush to receive. We just open and relax. Take a few rounds of breath here. Deep breath in and out through the nostrils at your own pace, for this will be our form of breath work. In and out through the nostrils, nice and easy, circulating in the body, releasing what no longer serves us, and opening more to God's peace and joy. We established ourselves in the peace. We grounded ourselves. So let that energy move up through the soles of the feet. Relax the feet more. Let that energy cross the ankles. Relax the ankles. Energy flows across the shins and the calves. That gentle touch, that warm energy circulating. Give it permission. Relax the shins and the calves. And that energy flows across the knees. Relax the knees. And just like God's joy and peace, it cannot be stopped. We let that flow across the thighs, make its way to the glutes and the hamstrings, and go ahead and relax, sinking deeper and deeper and deeper. The energy is now rising from the base of the spine all the way up the spinal column, activating the subtle body, each chakra available and open. Inhale, exhale when you're ready, and allow more relaxation. Inhaling as the energy rises. Exhale, sinking deeper and becoming more available. Let that energy flow up and up and up and out the crown of your head. And let that beacon of light be a signal connecting us all one to another, making the planet more bright and available to God's peace and joy. And as we prepare for our silent time, we let that energy flow back down through the crown, across the third eye, down the throat, and pausing gently to notice the shoulders. If there's any tension, we relax. Let that warmth flow down the arms, out the fingertips. I will monitor the time. You take the inward journey. And if the mind wanders, it is okay. It is within your ability to choose what you think, when you think, and how you think. And so we agree together. We think together. When our mind wanders, it's okay. We are gentle with it. And we bring it back to our thought. God's peace and joy are mine. God's peace and joy are yours. God's peace and joy belong to us all now. With our eyelids still closed, we honor how good it feels right now to be in this body, in this lifetime, receiving these gifts of God's peace and joy. And with our eyelids still closed, as A Course in Miracles says, be determined not to interfere with God's will, with God's gifts. As we go out this week, if we notice that we feel anxiety or worry, doubt, or fear, we remember, I'm not going to interfere with God's gift of joy and peace. I accept it now. And with our eyelids still closed, we allow every cell to feel relaxed, open, available. Let us begin our gentle return now. Maybe you wiggle the fingers and the toes, or maybe you just take a nice, long, deep inhale and exhale. Inhale, drawing the shoulders up by the ears. Exhale as you release the shoulder blades back and down. Nice and easy, no rush. Inhale, a complete breath as the shoulder blades rise. And we release the shoulder blades back and down. One more time. Inhale, up. Exhale, releasing the breath through the nostrils as the shoulder blades drop, nice and easy. Bring the palms together at heart center. Plant the thumbs into the sternum, just a soft contact there, so that we never forget the energy of love and joy and peace that is flowing from our heart. Bow the chin if you are able towards the fingertips. Pausing there to notice energy is still flowing. It never stopped. Allow the eyelids to gently open. Nice soft gaze, no strain on the eyes or the experience. Inhale, raise the chin. Exhale, release the breath. Maintain the joy and the peace. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
Well, it is Healing Sunday. And for those of you that are joining us for the very first time, this is a time that we set aside each month for a specific prayer treatment, affirmative prayer treatment for healing. We know that there are many in our community that are seeking healing, are knowing healing, are embracing healing. We know there are many in our community, some in our community that have received diagnoses and have healed from them, are received a diagnosis of cancer and it was reversed, have moved through successfully cancer treatments. We know there are those of you that have family members that are moving through cancer treatments and you're praying with and for them and supporting them. We know there are those in our community that are dealing with the effects of long COVID, right? And on and on. So we know that it's important to continue to affirm radiant health and healing. We know that this is something that is a part of what the New Thought philosophy is really all about. If you know the history of New Thought, it started with physical healing, right? Before the money in the cars and the wealth and all of that stuff. That's really where New Thought started. And so we're operating in that vibration and in that legacy. And so today I want to share, before we move into the prayer, I want to share some of an email from a longtime member of CSC, Cherie. She shares a bit about her diagnosis and how she is moving through that process. Because as I say and say each week, prayer is working at CSC. We know it works and we know that it's working at CSC. And it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to hear from someone in the community. So I'll share a portion of this email and then we'll move forward with the words of prayer. June 30th, 2023, I was diagnosed with early symptoms of Parkinson's. I was referred to a neurologist after recognizing a tremor in my left hand. I wasn't noticing that I dragged my left foot at times, as well as held my left arm, quote, like a stroke arm, my hairstylist would say. When I was informed, for some reason, I wasn't afraid, nor did I feel hopeless. I immediately found a new yoga studio, a holistic doctor, and a personal trainer and began getting medical massages. My entire body would ache, and my neck, shoulders, and arms were extremely tight, even after several months of getting massages regularly. The anxiety was through the roof, so much that there were days that I could not drive. I started out doing a one-on-one 6-week yoga program, which included dancing. Dancing was mandatory. And her holistic practitioner, which she found via a show on Gaia, she also began to work with during this time. My already vegan diet was revamped and many foods were removed from my diet. I met with Vanessa once a month to check my progress. I always made sure I had something good to report. Although my body still ached, I felt fatigued and was super anxious all the time. I'm sure yoga, different food choices, and a good workout with my trainer was also helping. I've also been meditating for 8 years, so I continued that and eventually became a more advanced meditator, as I would also attend meditation retreats just to give myself specific space to be still. I continued to live this lifestyle for the next year. I have to share that there were some moments that I cried, I was angry, frustrated, and just sad. I didn't allow that to stop me. Those times were minimal because of my daily spiritual practice, because of my knowing. She goes on and she was led to attend a retreat with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And during that retreat in Dallas, she met a young lady, Tashana. Tashana was in the process of healing a health condition, and she introduced her to a healing modality called Energy Enhancement System, or EES. And so because of that, she began to practice that. And while she was spending time with her son in Florida, she found a place that practiced EES in Coral Gables, and she began to work with them. It was also interesting because that particular location that she found, the woman Esmeralda, created this space because her husband was also healing from Parkinson's. Right? You already see how the connections, how the things work when you follow the leading of spirit. When she came back to New York from visiting in Florida, she found a place here in New York that also practiced the EES system. She continued to do yoga. She continued to work with her trainer. And eventually she returned and actually moved to Florida. And so it was during this time, Cherie also was a part of the Affirmative Prayer Mastermind, the last 2 rounds. And I remember her sharing this with us then. While researching Parkinson's, I was always trying to find someone who had recovered from it. And I finally did. I came across a book, Fighting Parkinson's and Winning by Howard Schifke. Howard created a specific protocol where he reversed Parkinson's: no medication, a vegetarian diet, qigong, meditation. And although she did not follow the exact protocol, she set up a similar protocol for herself. And while she can't say that Parkinson's has been reversed, she says she feels like a new person. I still have a tremor in my left hand, but according to Howard, that was the last to leave him. Additionally, during this time, as she continued practicing meditation, transcendental meditation specifically, she went on to learn some of the advanced techniques and become a TM Siddha. And so going to Fairfield, Iowa, which is the home of transcendental meditation here in the US, she was referred by someone to a neurologist. And looking at that particular practice that the neurologist advised with fasting and doing some other things, she began to do the same. She says the fast took her over the top and has brought her to a place where she feels 95% better. There's no tightness, no rigidity, a decrease in anxiety, and less fatigue. At one point, I had difficulty flexing or rotating my wrist and ankle. I couldn't move it, but now I can. My body was in constant pain. Now there's no more pain. My trainer recognizes all of the improvements. So yesterday I went to the gym. He recognized I had more energy and more strength. I had gone back to see the neurologist last December, and this past May, since my diagnosis, each time I was told that I had improved from the last time, but was also told not to be afraid to ask for medication if I needed. She won't be returning to the neurologist until May of 2025. And my plan is to ask for another DAT scan. This is a scan that determines the dopamine functioning, which causes Parkinson's. In the meantime, I'll continue meditating, reading, doing my daily practice, and maintaining my healing protocol. It's actually a lifestyle I enjoy. I know if I had not had a daily spiritual practice and the knowledge to apply, I would not be as hopeful or inspired and may not have gotten this far. Now, y'all know I could just teach or preach right off of this email, but I hope you're connecting some dots. The very important thing, the foundational thing, it reminds me of the sermon I trained for this, and it even reminds me of last week's sermon, right? What's so important So often we're coming to these teachings to try to get something now. And we don't understand that it's preparing us to respond to whatever happens in life. Right. And so that's why I say last week's sermon was all about that. When Paul is like, I've learned the secret to whatever's going on. I can do all things through this power and presence that's within me. You hear, I did not write these words. These are Cherie's words. She said over and over again, my daily spiritual practice is what helped me. She said several times, meditation, doing the things that she knew to do, that she had learned to do, that had already become habits for her, became the things that supported her when the unthinkable showed up, like this diagnosis. And so, Cherie, we're grateful and thankful that you shared this with us. Of course, we continue to hold you in the highest knowing, seeing you perfect, whole, and complete, seeing you well, seeing you thriving, seeing you flexible, seeing you continue to remain pain-free. It's powerful and wonderful. So again, when I say that prayer works and prayer is sure enough working at CSC, it's not just a pastoral statement that I'm saying, right? It's not just a marketing statement. It's literally the truth. And so I invite you all right here and right now, if you're in need of healing, we hear and we share the stories of healing because it ignites our faith. It supports us in believing and knowing what is true, because just as it is true for Cherie, it is true for you. Just as it is true for me, it is true for you. Just as it's true for Pastor Yolanda, it is true for you, right? The power and presence of God, these laws are no respecters of persons, right? And so when we hear that it works, then we know it can work for us. And so if you're in need of healing, I invite you to move into the place of receptivity, right? You can just open your hands and be receptive. And if you want to send that healing energy, if you want to be supportive, recognizing now that your energy, your supports, your thoughts are not in vain, that there are people within our community, some that you may know, some you may meet, some you may never meet, that are benefiting from our collective knowing of speaking this word of healing. I invite you to just rub your hands together and create that heat and hold your hands forward towards the screen or the device, or however you may be watching this right now. And I invite everyone to just take a breath in and exhale. And we allow the breath to focus us. We breathe in and we breathe out. We allow the breath to relax us. We breathe in and we breathe out. We allow the breath to sink us deeper in mind as we tap into the realm of all knowing. We breathe in and we breathe out. There is only one mind, only one power, only one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all, that is working in you, through you, and as you, that is working in me, through me, and as me. There is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. That life is my life now. That life is your life now. That life is all life now. There is one life. That life is expressing through us all. There is one life. That life is experienced through us all. There is one life. That life is seen in the cosmos. There is one life. That life is experienced in your pinky toe. There is one life. That life is present down to the marrow of your bones. There is one life. That life is present in every planet. There is one life. That life is the life of the animal kingdom. There is one life. That life is the life of the plant kingdom. There is one life. That life is the life of all animate and inanimate objects, the rocks and the crystals and the trees. It is the life of all. There is one life expressed as all. For each of us are individualized, particularized, undivided expressions of the divine. We are one with God and one of God. You are one with God and you are one of God, and individualized, particularized, undivided expressions of the one. And because that is true, that means that there is great power pouring to you and through you.
Yes.
Because that is true, that means that radiant health is the truth of you.
Yes.
Because that is true, that means that good health is the truth of you. Because that is true, that means that healing power, is right where you are right now and coursing within you. Healing power is here now and within you now. So right here and right now, we open up our hearts and our minds to healing power. Right here and right now, we command every cell of our body to respond to the power of healing. We command every cell in our bodies to respond to the response of healing. For right here and right now, as healing power is available from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, we speak healing now. From the top of your head to the sole of your feet, we speak healing now. And what we know to be true is that as God is in all and as all, God uses all things to bring forth the healing that is necessary. We put the focus of our attention on the healing. We put the focus of our attention on the goalposts. We put the focus of our attention on the finish line. Yes, we recognize it may come through many different ways. And so we bless the doctors. It may come through many different ways. We bless the holistic practitioners. It may come through many different ways. We bless the medications. It may come through many different ways. We bless the chemotherapy. It may come through many different ways. We bless the radiation. It may come through many ways. We bless the surgeons. It may come through many different ways. We bless the nurses. It may come through many different ways. We bless all of the different accessories that we may need to purchase. We bless it because we know that God works in all, and through all.
Yes.
We keep the focus of our attention on the finish line. We keep the focus of our attention on the goalposts. Radiant health, pain-free, radiant health, walking through life easily and effortlessly. I am so grateful and thankful. Grateful and thankful for the healing story that supports in igniting our healing and putting the awareness of our attention on the reality that healing is happening in 2024. This ain't something that just happened thousands of years ago in Jesus's day. This is not just something that just happens in some tent meeting.
Yes.
Healing is happening right here and right now, and you ain't got to fall all over the floor and speak in tongues to experience it. Oh, I am so grateful and thankful to remember that healing power is, and it is working right here and right now. So with joy and thanksgiving, I now release this prayer. Thank you, God, in us for healing. I release this prayer back into the law, which is always in operation. I understand how the law works, and that's why I release it to the law, knowing that it will operate in, through, and as each and every one of you in the perfect ways to bring forth healing, which is your divine right. So with joy and thanksgiving, we lift up our voices and we say, amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you, God. Lord, I love a good healing prayer. Well, again, Cherie, we're grateful to you and we bless you and we continue to see you as perfect, whole, and complete, as we continue to see our entire community as perfect, whole, and complete, as we continue to know radiant health for each and every one of you. Now we have the wonderful opportunity. We're going to hear from Soul21 in a second. We are in our final message for this series, as we are in the series Fear Not, Advancing Confidently into the Unknown. And so Soul21 will bring us a holiday tune, and then I will be with you on the other side with today's sermon, Follow the Stars.
With the kids jingle belling and everyone
Yes, yes. Thank you, Soul21. That is always a jam. Always a jam, the most wonderful time of the year. Well, hello again. Happy Sunday. Happy holidays. It is so wonderful to be here with you as we continue with our sermon series, Fear Not, advancing confidently into the unknown. But before we move in to the message, I invite you to join me in this centering prayer. And so I invite you to repeat after me. I welcome the Spirit of truth into my mind and let it grow in my heart. Thank you, God, in me, through me, and as me. Amen. Ashe. And so it is. So it is. Beautiful. Well, first, as I always love to do, I just want to give us a quick recap of the first two sermons of this series, which grounded us first in week 1, who controls your imagination? I talked about this idea that, first of all, this command to fear not, one, there's some biblical misinformation out there in the world that fear not appears 365 times in the Bible, and people have created books and whole programs around fearing not 365 days of the year. Fear not does not appear 365 times in the Bible, but fear not does appear 3 very specific times in the Christmas story, right? Joseph hears the words, fear not. Mary hears the word, fear not. And the shepherds hear the word, fear not. And in each case, it's the angels saying it to them, which makes sense, right? If some celestial being just showed up in your home unannounced, it makes sense for them to say, hey, fear not, like, it's okay. I'm not going to harm you, right? And so that's really what that's about in the Christmas story. But as we look at the Christmas story and understand that it's about the birth of the Christ, we also understand that, as Neville Goddard teaches, that the Christ in us is our power of imagination. And so it's important that as we look to the Christmas story as a season of hope, it's important to understand that that our imagination is what is born and reborn again. And we actually want to make sure that we're not using our imagination against ourselves, and that we're not taking information that's coming to us from the outside and then misusing our imagination to create fear scenarios and fear outcomes. Last week, a Philippians 4 moment, we looked at that famous passage of scripture that is also misused and misapplied. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. It's not a motivational statement. It's not a statement saying I can accomplish all things through Christ that strengthens me. What it is actually saying, what Paul is saying, and we also looked at the Tao Te Ching, what Lao Tzu is saying thousands of years before him, is that there's something within us that supports us in not being taken by the winds and waves of life, that supports us in not being taken over by the ebbs and flows of life. And what Paul is writing in that letter, he says, I've learned that how to be content, whether I have a little or have a lot, whether I'm hungry or have plenty. I've learned that there's something within me that supports me in moving through all of those experiences. And so as we are at the precipice of a new year, and there are many things that folks are worried about and concerned about, it's important to come to that awareness, right? It's very important. And so I asked the 3 questions in that sermon. Do you know who you are? Yes, no, or maybe. Do you understand the divine creative process? Yes, no, or maybe. Do you know where your treasure is? Yes, no, or maybe. Because your answers to those questions will support you in understanding if you are operating in the same knowing that Paul and Lao Tzu wrote about. And it's important that you're able to embrace that knowing as you move into the new year. So as we look at the Christmas story, we all know the main characters of the Christmas story. Yes, there's Mary, there's Joseph, there's Jesus, there are the shepherds, and there are the 3 wise men. Right? They're considered the main characters of the Christmas story. All over the world, in homes, on lawns, and churches, there are nativity displays featuring these main characters along with an array of farm animals. And if you are a friend of Love Actually, like we are, then you know there's even the lobster supposedly in the nativity, right? As they want to include all the kids, they add more and more animals and beings that were never in the nativity. Now, you may remember from last year's sermon series in December, I talked about the fact that nativity scene that we all know is actually historically inaccurate. And the depiction of the lowly Jesus in the manger, as the song says, away in a manger, no crib for a bed, and the whole idea of there was no room in the inn, that's historically inaccurate. That's not even really what happened. And I shared in that sermon the words of a theologian, Ian Paul, who said, in the Christmas story, Jesus is not sad and lonely, some distance away in the stable needing our sympathy. Rather, he is in the midst of the family and all the visiting relations, right in the thick of it, demanding our attention. I encourage you to go back to that message, make it a hope story. And so what I talked about how the Jesus story is told like it's a struggle story, but it's actually a hope story. He was surrounded by family. He wasn't in some barn with, there was nowhere for him to go. That's historically inaccurate. But today we're going to focus on one of the other main characters in the nativity scene, and that's the three wise men. Now, who were and who are the three wise men? It's in Matthew's account of the birth of the Christ that we meet the wise men. And it's important to note, I think I said it in the first week, the infancy gospels or the infancy story in the canonized text only appears in Matthew and appears in Luke. And Matthew, the writer of Matthew and the writer of Luke have two very different agendas and purposes in their sharing the stories or even writing about the birth of the Christ. And so Matthew's account does not provide any historical background on who these men are. Outside of Matthew's account, there are many stories, there are many legends, there are many oral traditions about the wise men, but none of this can be corroborated as fact, but there are legends, right? There's the legend, and I'm sure many of you have heard it, that the three wise men, one was from Europe, one was from Asia, and one was from Africa. I'm sure you may have heard even these men have been given names, Balthazar, Melchior, and Gaspar. In older accounts, there were actually more than three men. But here's where things get interesting. We also know that the three wise men are referred to by another name, a more accurate name, the Magi. It is more accurate because this is actually the word we find in the Greek text that has been translated for us into our English Bibles and what's translated into English as wise men. The word is Magi. And I remember hearing the word Magi as a child, and it didn't mean anything to me. I didn't know what that was. At one point, I didn't know that Magi were those three wise men. I thought that the Magi was like some other character in the biblical story that I needed to learn about. But actually, these three wise men that we read about in Matthew, in the original Greek that we have, that is again then translated into English, the word Magi is used. And the meaning and the choice of the word Magi is very important. Hold on to your seats. Do you know what Magi means? Magi means astrologer, sorcerer, magician, or wizard. You can't make this stuff up. This is so cool. Astrologer, sorcerer, magician, or wizard. Now imagine how we would read and think about the Christmas story differently if we read the opening words of Matthew chapter 2, where we meet the wise men, and we read these words. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, astrologers, sorcerers, magicians, and wizards from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay homage to him." That would be a game changer. I know there are so many people, for those, because I know there's some traditional Christians that watch us. You may also read and find value in astrology, but you also feel like, oh no, am I doing something wrong? Or you're scared. The birth of the Christ, this story that you've heard all your life that is supposed to be central to the Christian teachings and Christian understanding. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, astrologers, sorcerers, magicians, and wizards from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." Now, this is one of the reasons among many why I fearlessly teach and will continue to teach an astrotheological reading of many of the biblical texts. Because what I know to be true is that there are astrological symbols and signs and pointers that are right here in the text. According to the account in Matthew, after the astrologers and wizards visited Jesus, they were then warned in a dream not to return to King Herod. This is because Herod like Pharaoh in the Exodus story, ordered all children 2 years old or younger born in Bethlehem to be murdered. So what we also see is the power that these wonderful beings, these astrologers, sorcerers, magicians, and wizards were tapped into and knowing. They were tapped into all knowing. And just like Joseph was given information via a dream, so the Magi were given information via a dream. Later, Joseph and Mary are given more information via a dream so that they can avoid what it is that King Herod was trying to do, so they could avoid their son being murdered. This is also a good time to note, because I said King Herod ordered all children 2 years old or younger born in Bethlehem to be murdered. It's important to note that the Magi were not actually there the night that Jesus was born. Again, this whole nativity scene, it's just historically inaccurate. It's an image we all have. I don't think we can ever really get rid of it. But putting the wise men there, it doesn't align with what's here in the text. Jesus would have been 1 to 2 years old at the point that the wise men actually reached him and brought him the gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So they shouldn't be there at the nativity. But what's interesting, again, so because of this dream that they had, they're tapped into all knowledge. They're tapped into their inner knowing. They're tapped into intuition, right? And they realize that God, that life, that wisdom speaks through the stars. It also speaks through dreams. It speaks through even text, because they were reading, and if you read the biblical text, they quote a text about a prophecy, and it's like, and now the star is aligning with what we've read. The Magi also refused to be political pawns. Because it is also here that we learn that Joseph, Mary, and Jesus became political refugees who sought safety and asylum in Egypt after escaping the tyranny of King Herod. And I love to highlight that, particularly in the context of what we're seeing and experiencing and what may be to come in 2025 as we think about immigration in the United States. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were refugees, political refugees, who fled to Egypt because of what the ruler of their nation, King Herod, was seeking to do. And so we have an opportunity to see in the faces of our sisters and brothers, our human family that are seeking to come here to the United States, that they are just like Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, seeking political asylum, seeking safety, seeking security, fleeing tyranny. Now, this wisdom that the Magi, the astrologers, the sorcerers, magicians, and wizards were tapping into, this is not something that is new or abnormal. You may not know it, but in the text, if you go to Genesis, in the first creation story, Genesis 1:14, we have something very clear that's written about the stars in the heavens. Verse 14, and God said, let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. What this tells us at the inception, and particularly it's important to say this, when we're in the First Testament, of course, we know that we're talking about Jewish writings. When we're in the Second Testament, we're still talking about Jewish writings because Christians didn't exist, right? Jesus was a Jew, and all that followed Jesus were Jews, right? And they were following those teachings. So we recognize then that there's an understanding, that's an accepted understanding, that's part of the Torah, right? That the lights in the dome of the sky, aka stars, let them be for signs. And so there's a beautiful through line that we understand in terms of not that this is one story, but a through line to understand the overall ways of being and the ways of thinking. And so, again, I say to anyone that may think that speaking of astrology or looking at passages of the Bible through an astrotheological lens is somehow blasphemous, you simply have misread the text, because it's all up and through the text. Let them be for signs. The stars have something to say. The stars can help us understand what's going on within us and all around us if we, like the Magi, follow the stars. The Christmas story itself follows the trajectory of our star, the sun. The birth of the Christ aligns with the birth of the sun in the northern hemisphere. Yesterday was the winter solstice, and I'm grateful that many of you took part in the winter solstice visioning. That stream and those videos will remain available. You can vision. They will remain available through New Year's Day so that you can tap into that vibration. But we understand that what marks the winter solstice is what appears to be these continuous days of darkness. It gets darker earlier and almost at the same time until December 25th, when we actually get a longer day, right? Imperceptible to the human eye. It's not going to seem like that. We tend to think of, from our human vantage point, we tend to think of winter as the time of it gets dark. But actually, the start of winter, and Neil deGrasse Tyson he posted about this yesterday on Twitter. The start of winter signals the start of longer days. The start of summer is the start of shorter days. From the time we hit the summer solstice, although it's imperceptible, the days get shorter and shorter and shorter. From the time that we start the winter solstice, the days get longer and longer and longer. And that is measurable, but again, not perceptive to our human eye. And so it is the signal and beginning of more light on December 25th. Truly, the sun, S-U-N, is born again and again and again. And so this is then why the birth of the Christ takes place, or has been placed, at this time. So I'm sure many of you are aware, and we have wonderful astrologers in our community, and we have folks that are tapped into the vibration and following what's going on. A wonderful and great astrological event took place on November 19th. It is an event that should have our attention. Just as the stars and the prophecies had the attention of the Magi, so much so that they had to see it for themselves and inquire about it. On November 19th, Pluto entered the sign of Aquarius and will make its home there for the next 20 years. What the Magi of our time, the astrologers, the magicians, wizards, sorcerers, and sorceresses, are saying is that this time marks a collective awakening. The events and changes that take place over the next 20 years will not be seen again for many lifetimes. The last time humanity experienced this was in the period of 1778 to 1798. And you hear those years, and you might, if you're a history buff, you know that this aligns with the time of the American Revolution, and this aligns with the time of the French Revolution. These were world-shaking events, right? If you watch history, you go back to those events and think about everything that happened later, right? I mean, that's the period that gives us the Declaration of Independence. And when I think about even myself as a Black man and our ancestors and all that we've done and all the ways that we fought, we use those words to say, hey, your words apply to all people, right? So it's the establishment of that idea. It sits in that time, right? Which then established a collective awakening that is still being referred to and inspiring people to this day, inspiring new governments, inspiring democracy all across the world. And this century, if we look at our time, we're in 2024, this century has exposed much of what's going on in the world with our governments and with society. We see the imbalance of power. We see the few ruling over many. We see this imbalance in the ways that billionaires are having a level of influence and control that is highly problematic. We see this on a global, a social, and political scale. The possibilities that Pluto in Aquarius points us to is liberation from this way of being if we are willing to allow the old ways to die and new ways to be born. Many say that we will see and experience technological advances in the next 20 years that are unprecedented, that we've never seen or experienced before. And while we welcome these needed changes, while we welcome these wonderful advances, many will be and will feel, many of these changes and advances will feel and will be life altering. We also understand that in order to fully integrate and embrace the coming changes, we must be vigilant in expanding our emotional and energetic capacity to change. See, what's interesting about what's happening in the stars, it's not foretelling a fixed outcome, but it is signs. It's pointing us in a direction, but we as human beings have to accept, adapt, and evolve. So we must keep our what? Nervous systems regulated. We must what? Lean into community. We must give and receive support. We must take care of our bodies and we must take care of our minds. Now, I'll have more to say about this on New Year's Eve because there's so much more to talk about in terms of preparing for the year and how to enter the year and the things that we'll need to support and sustain us. But for today, let us think of the Magi. Let us think of the astrologers, the sorcerers, the magicians, and the wizards that are written about in this biblical text. Let us understand their importance to the Christmas story. Let us understand that they were not just wise men, but we understand who the Magi truly are, and that's a very specific and deliberate word. There's no equivalent to it in Hebrew. This Greek word points specifically to who they were and how they operated in the world. Their inner knowledge guided them. Their inner wisdom protected them. They followed the stars and found a symbol of hope, peace, and freedom. They followed the stars and did not allow themselves to become political pawns. As you think of the Magi, there is a call today for your inner Magi. The heavens are telling us of what's to come. The heavens are giving us the signs, just as we have read in Genesis. The heavens are pointing us in the direction of a new experience and expression of life, but we must be willing. We, each and every one of us, must follow the stars. For this truth, I am so very grateful. I am so very thankful. And to this truth, we say, amen, ashe, and so it is.
Yes. Are you following your inner wisdom that can lead you to whatever's next in your life?
Yeah.
Or every time when something, an insight, an inspiration comes up, do you get in fear, doubt, and worry? Well, we're saying fear not.
Yes.
Because there is an inner wisdom that guides us all. There is an inner knowing that is opening up this planet so that we can receive and we can give what is ours to give. Are you following that star that is ever present? It's always there.
Yeah.
And letting it guide every step that you take from this point forward? Or are you in fear, doubt, and worry that, oh, I can't do it. I don't have it. I don't know how. They weren't deterred by the travel.
Yeah.
They knew the destination. And so as we go out this week and as we think about our last minute shopping, as we look up at the stars, remember that we're always guided.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is follow. Thank you, PG.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so excited. Again, I'm going to be sharing more on New Year's Eve, tapping into this awareness of understanding what we've walked into. We're already experiencing it, and those that know, you know. There's so many things that have been happening for myself, which is very interesting in this context. But what's most important is what are the things that you'll need. I talked about regulating your nervous system, giving and receiving support, taking care of your bodies and minds. Those things are going to be critical. Leaning into community, critical as we move into this next phase. Well, in this moment, it is time for giving, and you see the information. You've seen it throughout the stream. It's very easy to give to CSC. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. There is a $10 minimum to text to give. And what we know to be true is as you give, you receive. Why? Because that's how the law of circulation works. It almost seems as the parable that Jesus teaches this principle. I say sometimes it seems cold because it's like give to get, but we recognize that when we exhale, then we can inhale, right? We recognize that if I want something in my hand, I have to open it. And that opening is the symbol of giving. That's how the law of circulation works. And when we truly understand that and embrace that and start to circulate our funds from that place of awareness, then we can affirm this truth. All the money that I circulate, returns to me multiplied.
In a
never-ending cycle. Of increase. And enjoyment. To that we say amen.
Amen.
Ashe. And so it is.
And so it is.
Well, beautiful people, we have reached the end of our service for today, and we are continually grateful for each and every one of you. We send so much love to you and to your homes and to your families. If you are traveling during this holiday season, we know that you are safe, guarded, and protected, for the light of God surrounds you, protects you, and stays with you. We wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we look forward to joining together on New Year's Eve, as we will stand truly on the precipice of moving into 2025 and celebrating together, doing some release work together, and doing some calling in together. We will also be honoring our ancestors, which is very important, right? When we think about those that have transitioned in this year, we want to honor them and move into a healed place in the new year with their memory and really all the power and presence that they now operate with as they are in the non-physical. So enjoy your time, have fun, be safe, get some rest, relax, and we'll be together on New Year's Eve. Bye for now.
Happy holidays. Bye for now.